Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. I'm Johnny Venerable alongside Captain Caveman himself, Mr. Derek. You digging our new intro music, my man?
Oh, I love it. I love the new intro music. Love it. You know, I think that's the thing is we gotta refresh our music over on D-backs because you guys are all killing it with the music across PHNX.
I can't take credit for it. It is the GM Saul Bookman, my new co-host, who picked that out that we can jam to. But welcome in to what has been Kyler Murray offseason week ignited. And good news is we're not going to rehash Kyler's social media today. I know, deep breath for everybody who is over that topic, but we are going to talk about something that has come to light in, I think, the last 36 hours, that Kyler may be disgruntled over his contract. Multiple national outlets, Derek, Pro Football Talk, Colin Cowherd, are basically saying, yeah, he wants a new contract. They believe that's the root cause of it. So, okay, with that being said, my question then on Twitter today was, okay, to get Kyler Murray under a proposed contract, you're going to have to pay him top 5 money. Is Kyler Murray right now, after 3 years in the NFL, multiple seasons in which he didn't finish the year healthy, is he worth a top 5 contract to you, Derek?
That's a great question. I would say yes. The reason why is because what he's done in his time here, which has been a short amount of time. Now, I'm a baseball guy, and I know that Kyler's progression to the major leagues, had he chose baseball, would have been a very different path, right? We were talking about this season, he led the Cardinals to an undefeated record up until 7-0. You know, he would still be toiling away in the minor leagues if he was in baseball, right? Football happens fast. I feel like he had a really quick impact on this game. There are some things that, of course, make me, as a fan, as someone watching the game and rooting for the Cardinals, that make me go, okay, I could see where some of the criticism of his size and such comes into play watching him during the regular season, right? That's not anything that's going to change. And that's something that teams are just going to bear down more on as far as like attacking him at his position. That's the part that really makes me question if he's top 5 quarterback money. The thing right now that we've seen with him has been, you know, obviously his mobility, and when he had a healthy team and plenty of weapons to throw to, he was very successful. So, but again, it's, you know, we see this team fizzle out on the second half of the season. We saw what happened, you know, once we got close to the playoffs and the end of the season and got completely routed at times. So I don't know, because I don't know if teams are figuring Kyler out and he's going to not be as effective, or if he's going to continue to expand his game and find new ways to be one of the top quarterbacks in the game.
Absolutely. Sean Marks, thank you so much, my man, with the super chat, $4.99. I may be in the minority, but I genuinely worry about him being worth a huge contract. I don't think you're in the minority. I think it's maybe not 50-50, 60-40, 70-30. He has the talent, but I worry about his physical longevity. Absolutely. I would also say to that what are you hoping to get from this next Kyler Murray contract? I think, you know, to Derek's point here in the comments, you know, this isn't even a question. Rookie of the year, Derek. 2 straight. Yeah, fellow Derek, 2 straight Pro Bowls, made the playoffs, 90 touchdowns in 3 years. I think that, okay, you want to pay him for not what he's done, but what he's going to do. So the expectation is, okay, bare minimum, you got to be out there for 17 games now, and you got to be ready to go. You got to be healthy. You got to have sustained, you know, good injury luck, right? And I think also need to build on, you know, the leadership qualities we always talk about, because by paying Kyler Murray, can't pay other people, right? And what did we hear about all last offseason was that issues with the locker room, got to get more leaders in there. So they bring in Rodney Hudson, they bring in J.J. Watt. Okay, well, in paying Kyler Murray, and we're going to go over the top 10 quarterback contracts in the NFL here in a minute, and paying Kyler Murray $35-40 million a year, you're not going to have that money to go and splurge on other veterans. Kyler has to be that glue guy. He has to be able to gravitas the team and get them excited and get them ready to go to battle. It's not just the on-the-field stuff. To Derek's point, it's like, okay, it's got all these accolades. Got it. Check. The huge box check. Cardinals historically never had a rookie of the year quarterback, never have Pro Bowl quarterbacks. We check that box, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to pay you now. It's time to take it to the next level. Playoff wins, right? Division titles, a Super Bowl. That's what has to be expected.
I think our expectations changed a lot this season really quickly. I think we went from being happy if they would have made the playoffs to all of a sudden thinking that this team was going to be undefeated and we were going to roll right into the Super Bowl and win it. And we just got a bit delusional because of the success early. The success early, though, was contingent on the team that they built around Kyler. And if they can't afford to put this kind of team around Kyler, we're going to see a team around him that was much more like the second half of the season than the first. Like, let's be honest, Kyler isn't at fault for everything that went wrong here, obviously, right? But a big part of it is you had a backup to a backup to a backup playing at center, it seemed like at times. You had guys you signed off the practice squad in order to come in and be offensive linemen. These guys were not protecting Kyler. And when he didn't have actual protection, which again seems to be the key, like kind of like defense is, right? Like defense and having a good offensive line seem to be the key for teams that even don't have a mediocre quarterback. I just think that you can't completely blame his failures in the second half on him. But we did see some cracks as far as his game and ways that it could be exploited by the defense in the future. That's the part, I guess, that makes me a little hesitant about giving him top money, considering that that's only going to go further, I feel like, as his career goes along.
Yep, absolutely. Good. Get to some of these comments here. Derek mentions again all the injuries at the end of the year and the fact that the receiving core is a liability. I would agree with all of that. I would say that you are the sum of the folks around you, right? Invest or get folks around you that are talented. They'll elevate you, and that can be said. And Jalen's got a great point here. Is like, let's stop going for leadership and let's just draft good players. Let's add talented players. And the Cardinals. I mean, I love J.J. Watt. He was over 30, injury concerns. He got injured, right? That's what happens. Rodney Hudson. I love Rodney. He's 33 years old, right? DeAndre Hopkins is approaching 30. Cardinals need younger, more talented players that are entering their prime, like Kyler Murray, hopefully, not guys that are aging out. And then
they still need to figure out what their core is, right? Who their core is, who they put around Kyler. And then once they feel like they're to a point that their core is ready, that's when they can supplement it with, veteran guys on those kind of deals that might come in and just help put them over the edge. I love JJ Watt, but you got to admit, he didn't have the success even when healthy that we thought we were going to see out of him and that defensive line, even though I know it definitely opened it up for other guys on the defensive line. We just didn't see him and Chandler feast like we wanted to see them feast, being together on that line.
Jesus or Jesus mentions, would you pay a quarterback with the overall record of 22, 23, and 1, meaning Kyler's record? I think that if the Cardinals don't, somebody else will. And I think that goes back to the point of emphasis I think everybody's trying to make is, okay, Kyler's not your quarterback. If you're not investing in Kyler Murray, what are you doing? Are you going into quarterback purgatory? And I'll use Kirk Cousins as an example here. The Minnesota Vikings cannot move off of Kirk Cousins because they are afraid of what else is out there. You become, the Houston Texans this year. You become the Jaguars historically, the Washington football team, the Chicago Bears. I mean, you need at minimum competent quarterback play. And I think Kyler Murray is better than Kirk Cousins. So, and there are teams that right now would trade a second-round pick, maybe a first-round pick for Kirk Cousins. The quarterback price tag in the NFL, because there are so few, and the position is so critical to you, directly tied to your success, because the quarterback touches the ball infinitely more than any other player. I mean, there were comments in the tweet that I put out basically saying, like, I don't think we should pay him top 5 money, but they have no choice but to pay him top 5 money. And that's almost the best way to spin it, in my opinion. Like, is he worth top 5 money? And let me go ahead and pull up overthecap.com annual salaries for quarterbacks. So basically, if we're saying Kyler Murray deserves top 5 money, we're saying that he is on par with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, who he did outduel in his own building in week 17, Deshaun Watson, who is MIA, and Russell Wilson. And then you got some outliers in Jared Goff, Cousins, the Wentz contract, which is a disaster, which is why Philly wanted out from that. Matt Ryan, who is aging, and of course, Aaron Rodgers, who's due a new contract. So, Derek, look at this list and tell me where Kyler Murray fits.
I think he fits on the list. I think looking at some of these names, he fits on the list. I don't know if I feel like he belongs in the top 5, but I can't say that I don't feel like Kyler Murray is equal to or better than a lot of, guys on that you're seeing on this list, right?
Yeah.
I think it's what you said is the best point, the way to put it, right? It's not that necessarily he might be worth top 5 money, but you're going to pay him top 5 money to keep him, and you need to keep him. That's the critical part here. Apparently, Fox Bet already has Kyler Murray listed at plus 500 to become the next quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Plus 500, Johnny.
Tampa would pay him. You don't think Bruce Arians and Jason Light would pay him? Listen, these numbers are hot and cold. Inflation plays a part in it, because I can tell you right now, like, I don't think Kyler Murray is getting Dak Prescott money. I think he's getting more than Dak Prescott. And people think that Dak Prescott contract is egregious. I can tell you right now, Kyler Murray's not signing the Dak deal, which means he's going to want 41, 42 million per season. You look at like Russell Wilson's contract, which, by the way, he could get moved this offseason. That's a steal. 35 million for a quarterback that caliber. Aaron Rodgers this year, 33 million, steal. The two names at the top of the list, I think most people can agree. If you go best 2 young quarterbacks in the NFL, they play in the AFC and they play the best game in the playoffs. And, with all due respect to Joe Burrow, who's, goodness, only in his second year, Mahomes and Josh Allen, and then there's everybody else, right? Then there's a drop off. Right. But I feel like, Derek, when we potentially go into these negotiations, if and when that happens with Kyler Murray, if it's not already happening, like, he's going to say, okay, just put me third on that list. And Deshaun Watson's been to an AFC title game. Russell Wilson's won Super Bowls. Rodgers has won Super Bowls. I dog on Kirk Cousins. He's been to, I believe, the divisional round of the playoffs a couple times. He made the playoffs with Washington a few times. He had that nice win with Minnesota once upon a time. Like, he has been to the postseason several times, and I think he's even won a division or two. I mean, like, what I have concerns about are, you pay him the big money, and then that sets the bar of, okay, this is just, you're paying me for what I've already done. We're just going to keep it status quo. You have to elevate your game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'm a big fan of contracts having incentives, bonuses if you reach certain goals, rather than it just being straight out money. And I know that sometimes even that with those get to be a little ridiculous, and there's conflicts over that at times. But I think the thing here with Kyler, I have no idea what that blinking is, by the way, on my screen.
That's all right.
There is nothing blinking behind me, but the thing about Kyler,
one of your many video game,
it's probably one of my toys or whatever I got back. But I don't know. I think that Kyler, the one thing about paying him now is that come 2 years from now, it might seem like a deal that you only got him for 31 a year compared to where he's at in 2 years.
Totally agree.
Right?
Totally
agree. And that's the big thing with Patrick Mahomes is it seems crazy to pay him $45 million a year over 10 years. 5 years into that deal, with the way he's been playing, it's going to look like they're going to be like, man, they only paid him $45 million a year. Look at, it's like some of the long-term baseball contracts that have gotten out of hand, where guys are getting like 14 years. How do you know a guy is going to be good 14 years from now? That's so crazy to, extend a contract that long term to someone like that. So like with Kyler, I would be appreciative of maybe them paying him, but maybe it not a super long-term deal. Maybe that would be beneficial for both sides to not lock him in, and for him to have an out after, maybe 4 years, so that he doesn't feel tied here to Arizona forever.
I do feel like he's going to get as much money as he can, rightfully so. It's in his best interest, because his body is not meant to be in the NFL for 15 to 20 years. We may only see Kyler Murray like Cam Newton, where it's like you get peak Kyler Murray and you get him for 10 years, and then his body wears down and he's done. And so if I'm thinking at it like that, well, of course he's going to ask for the most money possible. Quick clarification, Jalen, you were correct. Deshaun Watson's been to the divisional round. I always forget that game with Kansas City was in the divisional round, not in the AFC title game where they blew that big lead. Dak Prescott has been to the divisional round twice. once as a rookie, and then he's got that playoff victory against the Lions. But he has been there, and he has won multiple division titles. But not all division titles are equal. Cardinals playing the NFC West. I get that. Derek Fife Burrow took over a losing team too, and I think that we've been talking about that common denominator all week, Derek, where it's Joe Burrow was the first overall pick, just like Kyler, and he got to the playoffs and is in a Super Bowl in his second year. Why aren't we holding Kyler to that same standard? Because the Cincinnati Bengals are a dumpster fire. They're in a division where you have to play Baltimore and Pittsburgh and Cleveland's loaded roster. I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but at the same time, it's hard to look past right now.
It's different situations though, right? The Bengals, they at least the one thing, like you said earlier, they're a young team, right? The Cardinals seem to be an older team. They tried to really kind of use DeAndre Hopkins as, as a recruiter and bring in guys that he has a relationship with and kind of supplement this team with a lot of big names from around the league, but a lot of older guys and just older as far as the NFL age is considered, right? And I don't know. I mean, it kind of fell apart on them the way you would expect when they had a roster of veteran guys a bit where, you eventually were, again, starting a practice squad guy to protect Kyler Murray, and it's just didn't work out, right? So I don't know. I mean, I think that the one thing that the Bengals had going for them is, a different team that's younger and hungrier and ready to prove themselves. You had a lot of guys break out. You had a lot of guys buy in. I remember them talking about the Bengals showing up. The entire team showed up for voluntary workouts before the season started. And there were people talking about how that felt special way back then. Those tweets that are prophetic are getting retweeted a lot now.
Well,
they wouldn't have, but you know what I mean?
We cannot compare Joe as a leader to Kyler as a leader. They are not on the same level. And that is very difficult for a lot. Like, I want Kyler Murray to be Joe Burrow. He's not going to be Joe Burrow, right?
I don't think Joe Burrow would ever go do some of the stuff we've seen Kyler do this week as far as trying to cause all this speculation. And, I mean, it is a bit of an immature route to go unfollow the team on social media and scrub all your social media, that kind of stuff. And it could be just coincidental. It might not be what we think it is, or it might be exactly what we think it is. The problem is that if it is that, then it is a pretty immature move. And it just goes to kind of show with some people's complaints about Kyler kind of going off and having a bit of a fit at times on the sidelines instead of trying to just rally and bounce back and keep his head in the game.
I want to keep the conversation going, but before we do, the moment we've been waiting for since September is finally here. In honor of the big game, the DraftKings Sportsbook app, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving new customers 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 or more, get 280 in free bets if your team wins. Not a new customer like myself, Derek, bet on the Super Bowl with multitude of props available. The DraftKings Sportsbook app offers a wide range of props to bet throughout the game. You can bet on them right now. Take your shot at winning cash by predicting props like a non-quarterback will throw a pass, fourth down conversions, all that good stuff. Again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use that promo code PHNX, and get 56-1 odds on either team. 21 or over, Arizona only. Gambling problems, call 1-800-NEXT-STEPS. New customer only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And as we approach, Derek, what is the NBA trading deadline? I'd be remiss if I didn't plug our fine comrades at gophnx.com, Gerald and company, who have just a plethora of quality content getting you primed for the NBA trading deadline and what the Phoenix Suns may or may not do. So check that out, gophnx.com. Become a member, 50 cents for this month, $8.99 for the subsequent months, or, dive right in, get a free shirt, pay upfront half the price for the entire year at just under $60. It's a great deal. Check that out, as well as our PHNX merchandise locker at phnxlocker.com you can get the t-shirt Derek's rocking right now.
That's right.
Not my t-shirt. My t-shirt.
Little sticker.
My t-shirt's one of the, kind of the ghetto 100% cotton ones that I might just cut the sleeves off of because I don't like it enough.
That's a good move.
But I do like the Kyler to Hopkins shirt because
it's great.
I ordered this after the Hail Mary of 2 years ago, and now that feels like forever ago. But
I got a Valley Oop shirt that also had a similar thing going on. Hated the shirt, loved the Valley Oop, had to cut the sleeves off of it. It's all I could do.
before I joined PHNX, I have all these terrible Cardinal cotton tees that you can just find online. And now we get to help design these t-shirts that are of the highest quality. So PHNX Locker.com. All right. So I want to pull
those
this
shirts
back.
stand up on their own, by the way. When you stand them up, they're so thick and heavy. They keep the same body form.
Yes, absolutely. This is like wearing like a paper towel. All right. So I want to pull this back up here for those of you who are joining us. Derek and I are in the same boat. I would pay him top 10 money. And if he vowed to hold out, I mean, like, I don't think I could pay him. Certainly, nobody's getting Mahomes' money. And I don't think he and his agent have the goal to push for Mahomes' money. But like, I know definitively he will want more than Dak Prescott. He will say, I've beaten Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott does not have my skill set. I'm younger than Dak Prescott. The cap is going up. I would say at minimum per year, because the average per year in the guaranteed dollars is what matters. Kyler Murray will get $41 million per year. That is my prediction. What about you?
I would say, yeah, that sounds pretty accurate. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get around 34. But I don't know. I mean, we're splitting hairs there. It depends on how long the deal is for as well.
Yeah.
That definitely is a factor, but I'm fine. I'm kind of fine with that. I mean, I'm okay with that. I know I'm not the one spending the money, so it's easy for me to say I'm fine with that. It's just a matter of, what are you going to do? Where are you going to find your next quarterback? Are we just going to start rebuilding again? Is that the next step?
No one wants to do that.
Part ways? No one wants to do that. Not to mention the fact that they burned the house down that they built the draft before just to add Kyler to the team because we were there. He was available. It's who we could get. I mean, they completely changed course and it felt like the right thing to do. It sucked that they had to do it. It sucked that they took, quarterback the year before, your year prior and then drafted Murray. But it's what you do when somebody of his talent becomes available, right? So if they believed in him that much then to do that, then why not believe in him enough to give him top 10 money or, even top 5 money? I mean, I don't feel like he hasn't proven himself in this league. I just feel like they haven't had the success that obviously others have had, which can be attributed to the team as much as can be attributed to him. I just felt like we've completely changed our dynamic. People wanted to come here as a free agent because of Kyler. That's not something that a lot of quarterbacks can do. For the quarterback themselves to be so attractive to want to play with that people are wanting to come to this team. That's Kyler. That's something. I don't know if that's going to be that way. I don't know if everybody's going to feel that same way after these couple of years, but I think he's still going to be
this week, maybe. Hopefully,
after this week, right? But everybody, all these athletes, they go through their little spats and their little temper tantrums and things like that happen. I don't feel like this is going to be held against him long.
Well, especially if it's about contract, you got to get your money, right? All the players, they're of that mindset. Go out and get paid, get your money when you can. And for those that are curious, Kyler Murray's got a cap hit number next year of $11 million. I mean, he's going to be grossly underpaid again. And that number's not changing. So even if they were to extend him now, they would keep that cap number the same. Maybe they kick him a little bit more guaranteed money that's off the books this season. Really what you have to look for is 2023, 2024, and 2025. So if we're playing kick the can down the road, right, and you say, okay, what if the Cardinals had to start paying Kyler Murray $40 million, $41 million after 2022? Where would that fit? And I look at DeAndre Hopkins' cap number. It's going to make $27 million per season after next year. Budda Baker, very marginal, very affordable, just under $17 million. And then you look at somebody like Rodney Hudson, $11 million. That's basically about it. And then you go to 2024. Hopkins got a cap hit, $22 million. Budda Baker, $18 million. That's about it. Now, guys are due extensions in the short term. What do you do with Jalen Thompson? Of course, I don't anticipate him breaking the bank. What do you do with DJ Humphries? Do you re-sign him? He's a free agent, I believe, after next season. So you've got some decisions to make. But really, right now, if you're looking past next season, when that contract would eventually kick in, it's Budda, it's D-Hop, it's Kyler. Assuming you get Kyler Murray settled, which is why it's so imperative. And I want to end on this, Derek, because I had an article go out about a week ago before all this hit, and I'm just like, Cardinals need to, everybody wants to shop and be like the LA Rams and be sexy and pull off all these trades. When you have to pay Kyler Murray generational wealth, which they'll have to do, whether it's today, tomorrow, next year, you have to hit on more players in the draft. You have to hit on the Jalen Thompsons. You can't get by with buying players in free agency, because
Right.
you will topple your roster, which was already just completely exposed at the end of the year for the lack of depth, will be even more exposed, and it will result in, okay, Kyler goes down, D-Hop goes down, you're done. You're winning 2-3 games. You can't win games with Colt McCoy anymore when your roster is gutted like it was. So I say all that by saying teams like Kansas City and Buffalo can get by paying Mahomes and Allen for two reasons: because those guys are elite, they're the best at their position, and also their rosters are loaded.
Yeah. And they draft well, and that's the difference right now. Is the Cardinals are drafting guys that they didn't even they reluctantly didn't want to start the entire season. So I don't know if they felt like they did a bad job of drafting Collins, or if he just felt like he needed more time before he was ready. It just seemed like if you're going to invest a draft pick in someone like that, especially in the NFL, I would think he would have seen more time on the field this season.
Wouldn't we all? It is going to be something to watch moving forward as it relates to Zaven Collins and Kyler Murray. I want to remind everybody, children 5 and older are eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine is the best tool we have to reduce the chances of getting sick with COVID-19. The COVID-19 vaccine can reduce the risk of being hospitalized, even dying from the disease. It's safe, free, and highly effective against COVID. And they're available right now, that being vaccines throughout Arizona. Visit azhealth.gov to find the vaccine location nearest to you. All right, my man. This was a quick show today. I got to get my guy Derek out of here so he can go pick up his daughter from school. But
right.
I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. with Frank Sanders, maybe Saul Bookman if we can pry him away from the Waste Management Open. We've got a team right now over there. Big Drive Energy, having a blast. Check out all the coverage at PHNX Sports. Check us out. PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate the influx of support this week. It's been a crazy week, but we wouldn't have it any other way here at PHNX. Derek, thanks so much for joining us, man.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me. And pay Kyler his money.
Pay him his money. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.